Kelly Krauskopf, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. If you were perfectly fine when Fever fans were bending over, kissing your ass, applauding your decisions, you better stand here and take it when Fever fans are pissed off, upset, and are voicing their displeasures. If our voice mattered that much then, you best believe it matters that much now.
The entire basketball community was talking about Caitlin Clark when the Indiana Fever president made comments about her recently. I also have to admit that everything has changed when you try to downplay the importance of your motivations. The response from franchise players was swift and severe. Karma serves as a lighthearted reminder of another real leader. The ramifications of this error are completely absurd. What do you think happens when businesses try to cut back their biggest stars?
And is going to get as big and go as far as Caitlin Clark takes it. And I don't think Kelly Krauskopf understands that. And the latest video that is surfacing, floating around, being consumed by Fever fans across the globe, because this is an international superstar they have on their hands. This may have been the straw that broke the camel.
It was a great idea to record a conversation about their planned brand development rather than just Caitlin Clark, because nothing communicates a good marketing strategy like publicly disparaging someone who, on their own, kept your franchise from being completely irrelevant. The responses from players and employees seem to indicate that someone anticipated it would happen at the Fever in Indiana. Isn't that right? The Fever leadership, I'm being polite and calling it leadership here, discussed their goal of creating a lasting brand in what they said. Similar to Apple, Caitlin Clark's role in all of this is to make sure that everyone knows that they want to avoid relying too much on their main players. Because, incidentally, everyone is talking about business. Fundamental players are worried about our group.
That we want to sustain the growth and the interest level in the franchise. I mean, this is about the Indiana Fever. Yes, we have a foundational player in Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston, and we're going to continue to add to that. But I want this team to be the leader in the country, and a brand, an enduring brand, like Apple or something. I mean, we have a real opportunity.
Let me explain how tone-deaf these remarks were. After this executive essentially stated that they wanted to preserve the franchise's growth and enthusiasm, while simultaneously implying that Caitlin Clark's concentrated McDonald's claims shouldn't take precedence over the person responsible of that growth and interest, fans erupted on social media. That they want to be recognized for more than simply hamburgers and purposefully attempt to hide the Big Mac. As is to be anticipated when you disparage their intelligence, fans responded quickly. Social media users were screaming at the business for being completely detached from reality. They were genuinely deserving of all the abuse. They were successful.
This isn't the NFL. This is the WNBA. A star is going to take the Fever where the Fever want to go. And that star is Caitlin Clark. Kelly, you're talking about being a leading brand. You're talking about sustaining growth, sustaining the interest level in the franchise. You know how that happens? Is if Caitlin Clark stays in Indiana, is if Caitlin Clark is participating in an entertaining and exciting brand of basketball that doesn't take away and diminish her skill sets, that doesn't turn off fans that have been following her for the last 3 to 5 years.
It seems that these shrewd merchants failed to notice that about 4,000 people were watching the Fever the night before Caitlin Clark appeared. The television ratings for each game were so low that few individuals joined up. It was nearly difficult to forecast the next group or the final ideas in the world of sports. Then, when CC shows up, arenas start to sell out and attendance records are broken, which is important for the national conversation. It's funny how Apple is compared because they revolutionized the market by focusing their entire brand around cutting-edge products. Their attempts to minimize the iPhone or act as though the iPad didn't matter were pointless. However, in their immense wisdom, they believe that this occurred as a result of their incredible organizational structure, but they don't. They possess a gift that has been handed down through the ages. People genuinely have an interest in watching the basketball match. They constructed everything around them, embracing their innovation. Inventions the Fever should be doing just this. Certain lucrative franchises have consistently terminated with their stars. You don't try to minimize Michael Jordan's influence when you have him. The entire enterprise revolves around his potential. When you have Magic, you don't behave collectively. Without him, Johnson would be just as popular. The Lakers did not unintentionally invent Showtime. It was no coincidence that the Bulls became well-known throughout the world. These emerged as a result of astute organizations discovering they had special athletes and basing their entire brand on highlighting those skills. But it appears that the Memo's fever brain disregarded the fact that they had won their faith. The Lotto and Caitlin Clark. They care about sharing the wealth and making sure that everyone gets a chance to shine. They seem to be more concerned with offending others than they are with taking home prizes. Let's also talk about how recent these comments are, which makes them even more ridiculous. Caitlin struggles to initiate contact, deal with teammates who fail to pass, and engage in what seems to be a coordinated offensive to lessen her efficacy. This happened right after our observation, and a system that underutilizes her skills. What do superstars do when their fans are already upset? The company's management simply validates everyone's greatest fears about their primary priority by leaving comments for the public as if they were trying to put out a fire with gasoline. Retaliation was swift, and ardent supporters started to question the organization's actual worth. People began talking about Caitlin's potential advantages abroad after her contract status was approved. The exact opposite of what you want when building an enduring brand. The worst thing is this. They have every right to be concerned. If the company doesn't show a dedication to success, Caitlin Clark won't stay on permanently. She is too talented and competitive to squander her prime years waiting for a business that doesn't respect its assets. Particularly informative is the comparison with other markets. What would happen if Caitlin was currently performing in Boston or New York with this level of organizational chaos? Everyday management will be totally destroyed by sports radio. There would be ongoing pressure, and the current situation demands adjustments. However, they think they can get away with thinking this way. Backward due to their Indianapolis location, which they are monitoring to attract notice. The most ironic part about the scenario is that, in an attempt to avoid oneself from being overly, they are actually more susceptible to losing Caitlin Clark because of their dependence on her. When you lack appreciation for stuff, when you own something, you create conditions that let businesses use it. Additionally, a lot of companies would be delighted to have Caitlin Clark join them and build their entire brand around marketplaces that would embrace her reputation for trying to manage it so that everyone is comfortable. The general idea of the karma scenario is that, instead of becoming a well-run business, their comments immediately sparked the precise controversy and criticism they were probably trying to avoid. Despite having well-balanced goals, they seem to be tone-deaf CEOs who are unable to understand their own business strategy. It might be the greatest method to explain what happened in this situation. Some people are very lucky. They are unsure of the reasons behind their belief that their success can be replicated without the person who achieved it, and they will soon learn a costly lesson about the realities of professional athletics when you diminish your team's public player relevance, so don't be shocked if the community calls you out for it. This lesson had to be learned the hard way by the Fever's leadership. What are your thoughts? Please let me know in the comments if companies ever try to minimize their celebrities. Click like. To see more viewpoints that avoid the corporate fire, click the subscribe button. Music and warmth. As this entire situation reaches a boiling point, one undeniable reality rises above the chaos. This is a moment that will have far-reaching effects that go far beyond a single press conference, statement, or decision. This is not solely the result of one team, one executive, or even one superstar. This has to do with how a franchise develops, the expectations of millions of fans, and the responsibility that comes with managing a business in the center of the basketball globe. Because when the spotlight is this bright, everyone is watching. Every choice turns into a statement, and every statement turns into a turning point. Fans now are more connected, informed, and passionate than in the past. They see the numbers, they understand the value, and they know the background of the players who progress the game. They defend their convictions, acknowledge greatness, and speak up when something seems out of the ordinary. Furthermore, these voices don't come from anger. Rather, they are a result of their commitment, loyalty, and want to see their preferred teams triumph. These days, Supporters are interested parties rather than only spectators. They are the heart's pounding heart. Furthermore, everyone on the planet listens to them when they speak. A franchise is navigating in the midst of it all, which is why this period is so crucial. There is pressure, a fan base that seeks explanation, and a superstar whose influence has altered not only a team but the entire landscape. Such effects are rare. They are a generational phenomenon. Moreover, that degree of momentum doesn't happen by accident. Rather, it happens when talent, opportunity, and global attention come together in a way that completely changes everything. You're not only in charge of a roster when a player brings millions of new players to the game, you're also motivating a whole new generation of fans, packing arenas, and boosting ratings. A movement is under your control. This is the reason the next chapter is so crucial. The franchise's future tone will be determined by the decisions taken today. They will determine whether this organization is prepared to leave or permits it to flee. Championship-caliber teams have always understood one fundamental truth. Outstanding businesses build on their momentum rather than resisting it. Their stars' brilliance is not diminished. They raise it. When under pressure, they do not run away. They grow beneath it, which is what separates effective leadership from ineffective leadership and what separates long-term success from lost possibilities. There is a much more crucial question that goes beyond the statements, answers, and conversation. Where does this team go from here? Right here. Not just what was stated, but what happens next is what the world is watching. Will the franchise take the opportunity that is presented to them? Will they get to know their followers better? Will the gift that has already changed their life serve as a solid foundation for who they are? Or will conflicting messaging and uncertainty cause rifts that the basketball community is still unsure about? More than simply headlines will be impacted by future events. It will mold trust. It will influence culture. It will affect the team's future positioning, how players view the team, and how supporters support the squad. T will determine if this becomes a story of growth or one of missed chances. As a result, everything that is done from now on is important. One thing, though, is undeniable. Fans are awake, the globe is involved, and the discourse is louder than ever. This moment has set off a reaction, a discussion, an unquiet fire, and if this proves to be a cautionary tale or a pivotal moment for harmony. Whether or not there are deeper issues will depend on the organization's future course of action. Because momentum is powerful. It might take you to unprecedented heights, or it might disappear before you know it. So pay attention, stay alert, and stay in contact as we move forward. Because this story still has to be finished. In actuality,